Welcome to Biology Made Easy. Today, we are going to have a quick summary of the position of meristems in the plant, their origin, functions, and how they divide to bring about growth. Plant meristems are at various positions of the plant. So as you can see, we have a plant drawn here. We have a meristem at the shoot tip. We have another one at the root tip. And these are the initials. The shoot tip and the root tip are the initials. Now, the apical meristem at the shoot tip is the source of it is in the plumule of the seed. This forms three meristematic tissues: protoderm, ground meristem, procambium, which forms the primary tissues: epidermis, cortex, pith, vascular tissues, the primary plant body, the shoot system. Please check the detail of how this happens in my lesson on plant tissues and how they are formed. You can see that the same apical meristem at the root tip, which its source is in the radicle of the embryo, produces the same three meristematic tissues and produces the same primary tissues and produces the root system. Then we come to the lateral meristem in the axillary bud. The lateral meristem in the axillary bud, the source of it is in the apical initials at the shoot tip and forms branches, flowers, tendrils, thorns, etc. Then we have intercalary meristems at the node of monocots. And the source of the intercalary meristems is also in the apicals, the initials. And the function of it is to lengthen the internodes as the whole plant lengthens. Then we have the lateral meristem in the vascular cambium. Its source is also in the apical, the initials at the shoot tip and root tip. And this function is for secondary growth to produce secondary xylem, secondary phloem, secondary medullary rays. Please, the detail of this, please find out in my lesson on plant growth, primary and secondary growth. Then we have the cambium, also a lateral meristem. And that's the cambium is produced from parenchyma cells beneath the epidermis, and later from parenchyma cells in the cortex, and also secondary phloem. That's later on as the plant grows. And the cambial cells also produces secondary growth, produces the cochlear phloem and secondary cortex phloem. The detail of it is found in my lesson on plant growth, that is primary and secondary growth. So these are the meristems and their functions. Now we want to look at how the meristems divide. Meristems divide generally like this. The meristem divides mitotically to produce two identical cells, and one cell continues to remain meristematic, and the other cell differentiates to form any of the different tissues. The one that remains meristematic is there to continue the growth of the plants. Now we want to look at the vascular cambium and its cells and how they divide. The vascular cambium have two types of cells: fusiform initial, which is narrow, slightly elongated. This is the TS. And that is what produces the secondary xylem, wood, and the secondary phloem. And then there's also another type of meristem called ray initial, also in the vascular cambium. LS is nearly spherical. So the LS is just like the TS, and that is what divides to produce the secondary medullary ray. How these divisions go on is what we are going to look at. But the structures that these cells produce is found in my lesson. The detail of it is found in my lesson on plant growth, primary and secondary growth. Please check. This is how the vascular cambial cells divide. The fusiform initial divides mitotically to form two identical cells, as all meristematic cells do to bring about growth. So one of the cells differentiates to form the xylem, and the other cell remains meristematic to go through a second division. So this cell that remains meristematic divides again to produce two identical cells. These are the two identical cells. And these two identical cells, one remains meristematic and the other one differentiates to form the phloem, sieve tube, and companion cells. The one that remains meristematic will be in the vascular cambium to continue producing cells to continue the growth of the plant. Well, we said the vascular cambium has two types of cells. The fusiform initial, it is producing xylem and phloem and also keeping vascular cambium cell still in place. Then you have the ray initial, also divides mitotically to produce two identical cells. One of the cells differentiates to form parenchyma cells that forms the medullary ray. The other one remains meristematic to continue dividing. How these cells form the various tissues is the detail of it is found in my lesson on plant growth, primary and secondary growth. This brings us to an end of our quick revision on meristem and plant growth. Thank you very much and goodbye.